Understanding cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation occurs when elements of a marginalized culture are adopted by individuals from a dominant culture, often stripped of their original meaning, and used in ways that perpetuate stereotypes or commodify sacred traditions. This becomes especially problematic when it involves power dynamics, where the appropriator benefits from the cultural expression, while the originating community faces discrimination for the same practices. For example, if someone wears a sari without understanding its cultural or traditional significance, or worse, mocks or exoticizes it, it could easily fall into the realm of appropriation. Conversely, context and intent can transform this act into a form of respect and cultural exchange. Cultural appreciation involves engaging with another culture in a way that honors its origins and demonstrates a willingness to learn. Wearing a sari in New York can be an act of appreciation if it is done respectfully. For instance, attending an Indian wedding or festival while wearing a sari can signify an attempt to participate in and honor the cultural traditions of the event. Similarly, a non-Indian who learns how to drape a sari correctly and understands its cultural symbolism shows a level of respect and curiosity. However, the wearer must avoid commodifying the garment or treating it as a mere fashion statement devoid of context. What is and what is not cultural appropriation? Wearing a Native American headdress at a music festival. Traditional headdresses hold sacred significance in Native American cultures and are often earned through acts of bravery or leadership. Using them as a costume or accessory disregards their spiritual and cultural meaning. Mass-producing indigenous patterns for profit. When brands copy indigenous textile patterns without crediting or compensating the communities that created them, it commodifies cultural heritage for profit. Cultural appreciation. Purchasing and wearing a sari for an Indian wedding. If someone wears a sari at an Indian event after consulting with Indian friends or understanding its significance, it demonstrates respect and a willingness to participate in the culture. Collaborating with indigenous designers. Partnering with an indigenous artist to create fashion pieces while ensuring they receive credit and fair compensation reflects cultural appreciation. Beyoncé's appearance in Indian-inspired clothing and jewelry in the 2016 music video Hymn for the Weekend with Coldplay sparked mixed reactions, with some accusing her of cultural appropriation and others seeing it as cultural appreciation. Let's break this down to analyze whether her portrayal leans toward appropriation or appreciation. Why it's viewed as cultural appropriation. Exoticizing Indian culture. Beyoncé's attire, including a lehenga, jewelry, and henna, was seen by some as part of a broader tendency in Western media to exoticize and fetishize Indian culture. The music video portrays India through a stereotypical lens, featuring sadhus, colorful festivals, and dances, which some argue reduces the culture to a set of cliches for aesthetic purposes. Critics argue this treatment ignores the complexities and diversity of India. Power dynamics. Beyoncé is a global star from a Western country, and using elements of Indian culture for a music video without addressing the struggles of Indian people, especially those of lower caste or marginalized groups, can come across as a form of cultural exploitation. Some argued that while she looked stunning, she was borrowing from a culture not her own for visual effect, potentially profiting from it without meaningful engagement. No acknowledgement of the culture. There was little to no context or acknowledgement in the video about the significance of the Indian attire, jewelry, or setting. The portrayal felt like a surface-level borrowing of aesthetics without delving into the meaning or traditions behind what was being shown. Why it could be seen as cultural appreciation. Collaborative intent. The video was filmed in India, using Indian locations, costumes, and local people as part of the creative process. Beyoncé's outfit and jewelry appear to have been chosen to reflect the vibrant Indian aesthetic, which aligns with the celebratory tone of the video. Some see this as a form of cultural homage rather than appropriation. Respect for the culture. Beyoncé's portrayal did not involve mocking or distorting Indian culture. Her outfit, styling, and demeanor were respectful and in line with traditional Indian aesthetics, suggesting an intention to honor rather than demean. Global influence of Bollywood Indian clothing and jewelry, especially lehengas, are not always restricted to sacred or ceremonial use. They are also widely celebrated as part of Indian fashion and Bollywood glamour, which has a global following. Beyoncé wearing these could be seen as a nod to India's soft power in fashion and entertainment, rather than an act of appropriation. Where it gets complicated. The video raises broader questions about how cultures are portrayed in Western media. While Beyoncé may have intended to celebrate Indian culture, the framing of the video by Coldplay, a Western band, leaned heavily on stereotypical imagery, which many found reductive. For some, the issue wasn't Beyoncé herself, but the recurring pattern of Western artists using elements of Indian culture as exotic props without engaging with the lived realities of Indian people. This perpetuates the idea of India as a colorful, mystical land, erasing the nuanced and modern identities of its people. Whether Beyoncé wearing Indian clothing and jewelry in this video constitutes cultural appropriation depends largely on perspective. Appropriation. If you view it through the lens of power dynamics, reductionism, and lack of deeper acknowledgement of Indian culture, then her portrayal can feel like appropriation. Appreciation. If you see it as a collaboration, meant to celebrate Indian aesthetics and style done respectfully, then it leans toward appreciation. The key lies in how cultural elements are used. Are they contextualized, acknowledged, and celebrated meaningfully, or are they reduced to superficial visual tropes? While Beyoncé's intent may have been celebratory, the larger context of the video and the history of how India is portrayed in Western media complicates the narrative.